welcome to Rebecca and Knit's Knitting Podcast. I have a special edition for you today. This is my Year of the Lento episode. So I'm going to talk to you today about all the lentos that I knit in 2023. I'm coming to you from a different spot. This is my knitting chair. This is in the corner of my bedroom, and this is where I generally do my knitting. So I thought I would come from a different space today, and just since I'm sharing something different. You can see my shawlography in the background. I hardly ever wear this thing, but I have it draped over this chair because it's such a work of art, even if it is super busy. I have all my lentos over here ready to go, and I do have my Ravelry here on my phone just in case I forget any of the details, but hopefully I should remember most of them. I will put the jumpers on for you as we go, but I am just going to remain seated because it was just too tricky to set up the camera to work standing and sitting. It was too much for me, so I will put pictures over here of me wearing the lentos as well. So let's get into it. Where did this all begin? Basically back in January of 2023, Amy Pelko and Rebecca Clow of the Crayer Bear put on a cal, a knit along, about everyone knit a lento. Basically it was called the Let's Lento cal, and I was like, this is great, I love these two podcasters, this jumper looks fun, let's do it. So I had recently purchased some beautiful yarn from Mamawooling, my favourite New Zealand based hand dyer, and so I cast on with that. This is my original lento. It is knit in, well, I should really talk about the pattern first, I guess. So the Lento pattern was originally in Liner magazine. It is now available for purchase on Ravelry. It's a 15 stitch gauge, so it's designed to be knit on 6mm needles with a fingering and a lace mohair held together. So a really loose gauge, and for my size the recommended yardage is about 800 meters, so you can just use 2 skeins, which is kind of the appeal of this sweater. It's really simple. It's designed with a folded neckband, a 3/4-ish sleeves, and and a bit cropped, but it's the big gauge. It's kind of like the ranunculus, one of those patterns that is gorgeous and way off what you would normally expect a gauge to be for that yarn, but really successful and really quick to knit. So anyway, that is the sort of a little bit of a lowdown. This is my first lento. This one I used a Suri silk and a sport weight merino from Mamawooling. They went together as a set. It's called the Parfait set, I think she was selling it as, and it's gorgeous, eh? I did folded neckband like they asked for in the pattern, and I did straight sleeves, I think. Pretty much all of my lentos. Now this does have gradual decreases. I must have knit this original one to pattern, and then there's a decrease before the cuff. I did do a full length sleeve though, and I did do a cropped body. I made size 3 throughout all of my lentos, and they all fit really differently based on basically which different yarns I used, and I used different needles for some of them. This one I actually used 6.5mm needles for, as I didn't get gauge with 6s. So you can see it's a bit cropped, but I can wear it with high-waisted jeans. That's my preferred style. Quite a relaxed sleeve, but with a little bit of a poof at the cuff. The original pattern probably had the sleeve ending about there. I'll have put in a photo of that anyway. But I made mine full length because I had enough yarn. Yeah, lovely. Wide-ish neckline, but not uncomfortable or anything like that, not too deep. Gorgeous, huh? And so that was my first lento. That was January. And that kind of set me on the trajectory. I was like, I knit this lento in 6 days. I did, it took me like 2 days for the yoke and 2 days for the body and a day for each sleeve. And I was just like, that's incredible. I could knit one of these every month and still knit other things. And so I decided, hey, let's do it. I then proceeded to knit a cream coloured lento for my sister for her birthday present, which is not included in my year of the lentos, because it was also in January/February. It was a bonus one. So that was in just a merino fingering, like undyed cream, and a matching mohair. She wears it all the time. She loves it too. So that was January. February comes along and I knit this lento. I started watching Lena from the Just Another Knitting podcast, and she was talking about getting yarn back on your needles that you loved but that you hadn't used, or that had got stuck in kind of a UFO. And I had this yarn that had happened too, and I really wanted to knit it up because it brings me so much joy. It's so happy. So this became my February lento. This is Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles in Monet. I managed to grab 3 skeins of this on a D-stash for a much reduced price. And then the accent yarn is Malabrigo merino silk. It's a 50/50 silk merino from Malabrigo single ply. And I held it with an undyed mohair. So this one definitely does have straight sleeves, no decreases, just a rapid decrease for the cuff. I have folded neckline and cuffs on this one too, and the hem is folded as well. I did the increases called for, which is knit front and back, raglan increases, again size 3, and again 6.5mm needles, I think, from memory. I have Ravelry project pages for all of these, so if you missed something or you want some more detail, or I could have got some of this wrong, you'll feel free to check out the project pages. Again, full length sleeve, nice and relaxed. These ones are a good length actually, and quite cropped. This one is more cropped. I struggle to wear this one with pants because it is quite cropped. Yeah, I have a couple of dresses and skirts that I can wear it over, or I do sometimes wear it with my very high-waisted jeans. I just have to wear like a cami and tuck it in underneath. Yeah, so that's all good. I love it. The colours are wild for a sweater, but I think it's actually so gorgeous. I love pink and I love teal, and so yeah, I'm really happy with it. I didn't alternate skeins. Part of why my original project with this yarn got put on hold was because my second skein was quite a lot darker than the first skein, and I hadn't realised that because I'd only caked up one at a time. So then when I restarted, I caked up all 3 and I picked the 2 that were closest. And you can see that this sort of the last third of this sleeve is slightly different to the top, but honestly it's so minimal and it really doesn't bother me. So, because the sleeves always look a little bit different because you're in a different circumference, and because you have that mohair throughout, it just diffuses the colour change a little bit more. So yeah, sort of like the bottom third of everything is just a little bit deeper, but honestly don't care, love it, and you only see it if you really look for it. So that was February. Along comes March, and I had also made a new purchase of yarn, which I was really excited to cast on. This is from Marmalade Yarn Co, who is another local New Zealand based hand dyer, and she had put out, it was actually for a scarf, it was like a set of a matching kid mohair and merino slub, and yeah, she was selling them in pairs as like for a specific shawl pattern that had been released for slub yarn, and I loved it and grabbed 2 different colours, a set in 2 different colours, and then later on the bluey grey colour hadn't sold as well, and so she put them on sale, and so I grabbed another set, and so I had enough to make a lento. So this is my slub lento for March. So again, this one is a kid mohair and a merino slub. Again, 6.5mm needles, size 3. Basically exactly the same as I did for the last one, no different mods here. The only thing I did do is not use the slub yarn on the bands. on the ribbing. So for that I teamed the mohair that I was using throughout with another random skein that I had in stash, which was a knit crate yarn, and it was a merino cashmere nylon sock yarn. That was just the perfect colour, really. So I had that in stash, and so I just used that for the cuffs along with the mohair because I felt like slub and rib didn't really go together. Yeah, so this one's good. So on the gauge definitely feels a bit less dense on this one. I used 6.5s again, but I think just because the mohair is less dense than the Suri that I used in that first one, it does feel a little bit more airy. Same, yep, I've done this knit front and back increases. This one's quite lovely. A good friend of mine is quite in love with this sweater, and I do have a bit of yarn left over. She is a similar like circumference size to me, but she likes her sweaters long, not cropped, and so I may bring myself to lengthen it and gift it to her because I have so many. I do really love this yarn though, and this colour is really gorgeous. It looks great with white jeans. And I had made this long enough to wear with jeans, this one. So yeah, it's quite cute. I do enjoy this one. So it's got a little bit of prickle factor from the mohair. I do find that mohair has a slightly more prickle factor than Suri silk. But again, it's gorgeous, and the hand dyeing on this, absolutely stunning. Again, didn't alternate skeins, just used them, and you can't tell at all. So even. Marmalade Yarn Co for that one. Stunning. So that's January, February, March. In April, I knit this one. So by now I was kind of getting a little bit like, oh, what modifications could I make? Because, you know, I've knit 5 of these now. What else? What can I do to spice it up a bit? So for this one I used quite a different yarn combination. For this one I used, it's got a big crease in it from being folded. For this one I used, what did I use? Bohemia Light from Outlaw Yarn, which is a polworth merino and possum blend yarn from quite a bougie small yarn producer in New Zealand. I used that, and I held it with a single strand of lace from Laceweight Merino single ply from Madlinetosh, which I had managed to find in D-Stash. And the colours just went great together. So I didn't use the Suri at all, or a mohair. So my Laceweight strand was a single ply merino, but because of the possum content, actually I think it's polworth alpaca and possum. Actually this yarn, not merino. I think it's wool, alpaca and possum. So it's really bougie, and it's quite, you can see that texture there. Yeah, so the strand is subtle, but it's there, so it's got this subtle marl. Same increases. This one I did on 6mm needles, so it's a lot more fitted. The fabric is a lot denser. Because of the nature of the yarn, I didn't think it would hold up to wear very well if it was knit really loosely. You can see there's quite a lot of pilling on the sleeves. It's definitely a pilly yarn, this one. But it is cute, and I made it quite cropped. So this one looks really great with a skirt or over a dress. Again, I did no decreases on the sleeves until the cuff, so and I've got quite a tiny cuff on these ones. I don't know, I think maybe I decreased slightly more than I had on the others. Because I wanted kind of more of a puff sleeve look for a more feminine version. So you can see with this one I basically have 0 ease, quite cropped, like just right on my top of my hip bones and my waist there. And the sleeves are maybe a tiny bit short, but I'll probably block them back out again. Looks really cute with a skirt or over a dress because it's got that more fitted feminine vibe. Let's see, I don't have folded overs. I've still done rib, but I haven't folded it. I've just got a single rib here and here and here. So it's really warm. Take this back off again. This is a warm sweater because the gauge is denser, and because of the makeup of the fibers, it's really warm even though it's really small. I do like it. So that was April. In May, I was thinking to myself that I have knit so many of these lentos already. Let's knit one for somebody else. So in May, I knit a lento for my friend Helen, the one who's coveting the slub one. So I knit hers in, I'll pop a photo up here because I don't have it with me, obviously I gifted it to her. Hers I knit again on 6.5mm needles. I made a size 4 for her, and I increased the length quite a bit. Full length sleeves, and I knit it in Skeinz Merino Orb and fingering weight, held with Skeinz Mohair. It's a wool blend mohair, wool and mohair and acrylic, and I held that, no, nylon binder, not silk binder, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and I knit that throughout. It was lovely. It was a more airy gauge as well because it was quite a fine fingering. It's like a tightly spun fingering, and like quite a tubular construction, and then with the lace weight mohair, it was more of an airy gauge on the 6.5s. It was 2 gauge, but it was definitely more of an airy fabric, and it, yeah, I think it turned out really good. Fits her really well, and she really likes it. It's in a pale pink colour called Petal, and something like that. I'll put it in the description box if I can find it. Yeah, really pretty pale pink. My friend, I gave her the choice between like a deep blue, kind of like this colour, and the pale pink, because I had enough yarn and stash to make her size in those colours, and she picked pink, which totally surprised me because she's not usually a pink person. She's usually like an autumnal colours person. But that pale pink, it was kind of like, it's kind of like this pink. You would have seen in the photo anyway. Yeah, so that was my May lento. June came along, and June is my birthday month, and so I decided to use some more Mamawooling yarn that I had in stash, and to do some more modifications, because I knit Helen's one pretty much to pattern as well, other than making it full length and full sleeve. I was bored again and wanted to make some more mods. So this is my birthday June lento. I decided to do a colour block. When I had these 2 skeins and held them together, when they were in skeins, the difference didn't look as stark. I thought it was going to be a bit more subtle, but it was not. But that's okay. I held it with a cream, just undyed mohair throughout as well. And I just had the 2 skeins, and I did actually run out. I knit this one again on 6mm, not 6.5. So this one again, like the April one, is quite a bit more fitted, and I too cropped to wear it over anything but a dress or a skirt. I did a folded neckband, but narrower than the pattern calls for. I did the kind of the sleeve length that is called for in the pattern, but straight sleeve, rapid decat crease, and then I did a picot bind off for that, and I also did a picot bind off for the hemline. Just that really easy one where you like do a row of yarn over knit 2 together, and then you go through and just knit a few more yarn rows and then sew it up. So easy, so effective. You lose a little bit of the sharpness because of the fluff of the mohair, but for the most part it's lovely. And I did yarn over increases for this one instead of knit front backs. So it is cute. Colour block is not my like favourite. You know, like, I don't know. It's just, I like variegated yarn, I like tonal yarn, I like solid yarn. I'm not totally convinced on totally colour blocked like this. I prefer a more gradual fade, but it's cute. I have worn this one probably the least out of all of them, even though I was so excited when I was making it at the time, probably because of the colour blockness, and I just don't have a bottom half that really goes with it. I need to go shopping and buy something specifically to wear with this sweater, because it needs to be like a dress or a really high-waisted skirt because it's so cropped. I don't have any more yarn. I used up every last little bit, and it's really cute. It's really feminine. I love the colours, and I think the colour block looks like a bit more stark on video than it does in real life, but it's yeah, it's still cute. It's still really cute. I just need something to wear it with, and then I will get to wearing it a bit more, I hope. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's definitely a more feminine version. Definitely a bit more spring summer, even though I made this. June is the middle of our winter. Even though I made this in the middle of winter, it's a more springy kind of lento. June. Okay, now after June, I was in the middle of exams and feeling quite burnt out in the whole year. I was studying full time last year, and I had knit a lot of lentos by this stage. You know, it's kind of, I almost let the year of the lento go in July. I didn't cast one on at all for the first couple of weeks because I'd been in exams, and I went away to Vanuatu for a couple of weeks, and then I signed up for 2 tank top test knits for along avec Anna, which took way more effort than I thought they would. And I was a bit burnt out, to be honest. But it got to kind of like the last 2 weeks of July, and I was like, I don't really want to let this go. Like, I've come this far, I want to keep going. So what I did, and it was the middle of winter, was knit a fluffy jumper for my daughter. My daughter is 5, and she hates Woolyarns. She won't wear Woolyarns at all, even if it's like the most beautifully soft hand-dyed superwash merino. She goes, oh, it's itchy. It's so frustrating. So I brought this fluffy acrylic from just a big box yarn store, Lincraft, and I was going to make her a jumper with it, and I couldn't find a kid's version of a jumper that was at the same sort of gauge as this yarn had, which needed to be like 15, 16 stitches. So I'm like, you know what? I've knit so many lentos. I need to knit a lento. Let's just make a kid lento. So I literally just halved the stitch count that I used for myself. I did the yarn over increases because you could not see anything in this yarn. But yeah, if I did a knit front back, I'm like, where is it? Can't see it. No idea. There's just no stitch definition at all in this fluff. So I did the yarn overs because then I could see what I was doing. I did half the stitch count. I didn't add a rib to the neckline, which is why it's so wide, because you couldn't see what you're doing. I probably could have picked up and done like an I-cord or something to bring it in. I may still do that to make it last for this winter. Straight sleeve, just like literally bound off at the end. And the body is a bit short now. It has kind of grown widthwise as it's been washed and not lengthwise. So it's now quite wide and quite short. But I do have some more of this yarn. And she does wear this. So I am hoping to actually add to the sleeves. It's more the body that's short. So that she can wear it again this winter. She wears it quite a bit over dresses at the moment, and she likes it. So that's a win. My middle daughter then, once she saw this, was like, I want one too, it's so nice and soft. So I then knit her one. So I actually ended up doing like the equivalent knitting of a me-sized lento, because I made 2 kid-sized ones. I used the same stitch count for her. The yarn I had for her, I can't find it. I don't know where she's put it. She's filed it away somewhere. Was slightly thicker again than this. So I did the same stitch count even though she's a couple of years older, and just made the length and body a little bit longer. I'll try and find a photo of that one. It's in like a mint green, which is one of her favourite colours. And again, worked good. Did exactly the same, like left off all the ribs, did the yarn overs, and just knit it basically to fit her at the time, which again is now a bit small. Because children grow. What is that? So those were my July lentos, and it got me back on track. Like, I almost felt like I was cheating, but at the same time, no, it's still a lento, and I used the numbers, I used the shaping, and I liked them. And I knit 2, so that counts. That kept me going. So when August came around, what did I knit in August? Oh, I'm going to have to check which one was August. One moment, please. Let's have a look here. June, May. August was the hot pink one. I came back in with Newfound Gusto. I knit this one. So this looks ginormous. It is by far the one that turned out the biggest. I don't quite know how that happened, but it did. This is, well, I know why it happened. It's a different yarn. So I used a DK weight mohair on its own with nothing else. This is from Skeinz. It's called Whisper DK. I had a whole pile of this because they clearanced it. It's not quite as bright as it's looking on camera. It's a little bit more deeper magenta, muted, than it's coming up. I might have knit size 4 for this one, did I? Or is it just because the yarn it got so big? I'm going to check. I've still written that I made it for size 3. It turned out huge. It's really fun to wear though because it's so oversized and it's so bright. The fabric is quite airy, 6.5mm needles, but just a DK mohair. Full length sleeves. I have not done a folded. I folded over the neckband, but not the cuffs and not the hem. Put this one on. So you can see, especially compared to the more fitted ones, there is a heap of ease in this, and it is a little bit itchy, I have to admit. And the neckline is really quite wide, so it's quite hard to wear something under it because, like, except for like a little tank top, because the neckline is quite wide, and it is a little bit itchy because it's a mohair and acrylic, and I think it's got some alpaca in there too. This yarn, Skeinz Whisper DK. I think this colour is discontinued. It was called Bougainvillea or something like that. I think it's discontinued now, which is why I got it on clearance. But it's super fun, super great, really comfy. Throw it on in the winter over the top of whatever else you're wearing because it's so big and it still fits. Not super warm because it is quite airy, but also you want to wear it when you're cold because it's a little bit itchy. But it's so fun. The colour's so fun. I really love it. Bold. And I love pink. I love pink. So that's August. September. You know, you'd think I would remember the more recent ones. But I'm struggling. Let's see. September. Which one was September? September was the black one. I decided at this point that if I was going to keep going, I wanted something really staple out of all of these Lentosh. You know, like some of them I wasn't really wearing, some of them only went with specific outfits. So I was like, if I'm going to keep knitting these, I need some real staples. I need something that's going to be really useful out of this. So I need a black one, because who doesn't need a black sweater? I didn't own a black sweater, hand knit sweater yet. This one is also on the, oh that's backwards, larger side. Just got a little pin on there that I put on, that was cute. With the neckline has stretched out a little bit. This one, I again have done straight sleeves, rapid decrease, no folding. I think I got fed up with the double length and didn't fold any of these. This is a brushed alpaca, a DK weight brushed alpaca from Skeinz. That was like a, there was a dye issue with it. Some of the skeins bled, and some of them did not, and so they couldn't sell it at full price, so they sold it off dirt cheap, like $2 a ball for brushed alpaca, which was amazing. I brought lots, and so I had it all there sitting waiting, and I also held it with, after knitting just the DK mohair for the pink one, I was like, oh, I'm not loving how that's turned out, and so I'm like, I wanted a bit denser fabric because I want it to be a really workhorse, useful, fluffy black sweater. So I held it with a strand of fingering sock yarn. Skeinz's standard sock yarn in black, which is a merino nylon sock yarn. And so I had quite a hefty amount of yarn with a DK and a fingering, 6.5mm needle. So again, it's turned out a bit bigger, not because I knit a bigger size, but because I used a thicker yarn combo. And it's great. Again, the neckline is stretched out quite a bit. I could probably try and put some elastic in it and bring it in a bit. It would probably be a bit, like, I quite like how this looks on me, but at the same time it's harder to wear stuff under it, like if you're wanting it to really keep you warm, layering it up. decent length, like jeans length. Yeah. Catches all the fluff because it's black. It's quite a dense, warm fabric. It's a little bit on the itchy side. That's probably because I'm feeling quite warm right now. You can tell my face is getting red. But yeah, it's quite lovely. It's nice and soft. It's not got the halo that you get from the mohair. It's like more matte. This is like a matte black sweater. But it's lovely. It's really great and it's going to be really useful. I hadn't got a lot of wear out of it yet because the weather started warming up. And so this was a bit too heavy to wear once I got it finished. But that's okay. It'll get heaps of wear in the future. Yeah, so that was September's one. Even though it was springtime, September is springtime in New Zealand, and I was like, should be knitting something light and bright, and I'm knitting matte black. But anyways, I needed a useful one. I did kind of want a white one as well, but that kind of got usurped by other things. Yeah, so that's my black Lento. For October, I then started feeling springy, and I had brought some Buclae. It was a fingering weight blue Buclae from an online store, and it's mostly acrylic. It had some wool content, but it was mostly acrylic, but it was fingering weight, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with this? It's so pretty. But when I purchased it, I thought I was buying 100 gram skeins, but they were actually 50 gram skeins, so it also didn't have that much meterage. It's like, the only thing I can make with this is a Lento, really. So I did. I held it with 2 strands of lace weight mohair, and one was a petal pink, and one was like, it's called Smoke. It's kind of like soft greyish purple, which toned in really nicely with the Buclae. I made a t-shirt version with eyelets. Now this doesn't look like it originally did because I just recently managed to spill stuff all down it when I was wearing it the other day. And so I put it in the wash. I soaked it just in some wool wash, and then somehow it ended up getting thrown in the washing machine with a regular load of clothes on a warm cycle. And it's now quite felted. Still wearable, still fits, but it is now quite a dense fabric and quite cropped rather than being quite an airy fabric and quite oversized. So that's a bummer, but also it's okay because I can still wear it. It's going to be quite nice and warm, which is not really the attributes you want for a t-shirt, but hey, whatever. Yarn over eyelets, single rib. I think I didn't do hardly any sleeve at all. I think I did like 4 rows and then started the rib on the sleeve. My bind off a little bit tight on this one as well, which was a bit of a faux pas. Okay, so you can see that now it fits kind of like a fitted tee. A little bit cropped. Would struggle probably to wear this with jeans. It's probably going to be a dress and overdress or skirt version now. But the eyelet increases are quite nice. We're supposed to make it light and airy for spring. But oh well, it is now warm and felty for spring. Maybe it will be more autumnal. That's all good. I love the colour. It's really pretty. And yeah, it is what it is. These things happen. But whatever. It's nice. I almost felt like I was cheating with this one as well because I did the short sleeves. But I was over knitting 2 strands of kid silk and Buclae. It was not the nicest to knit in terms of knit experience. And it was springtime and I'm like, actually a tee would be nice, and I haven't done that yet. I was really determined throughout this whole process to use a different yarn combo for every single sweater. I didn't want any repeats, and that did make it challenging, and I knit all of these from a stash as well. Like, I didn't buy any yarn on purpose for a Lento. I always used yarn that I already had. I might have recently purchased it, but not with a Lento specifically in mind, if that makes sense. So yeah, I love it. It's good. it's alive still, even though it's not what it was. I'll pop in a photo of me wearing it when it was lighter and airier. But anyway, I'm just grateful that it still actually fits. I mean, I could have given it to one of my daughters if it didn't, but that would have been kind of a shame because it's my collection of lentos. That was October. November, I'm really running out of steam now. I really like it and I want this to be over. Again, I had lots of exams and a really busy end of year with my study and my family. But I knit one more lento. I really struggled with choosing for this one. I had originally thought of doing a cream one or just an off-white one. But the yarn I had for that was the same as the hot pink one. That DK weight mohair, and I was like, I just don't want to do a yarn repeat. Like, I've come this far, I've made 10 already that don't, and haven't repeated. Like, I've used the same mohair in several, I've done several that are fingering and mohair, but none of them have been the same yarn by the same place, or exactly the same mods, you know, like they've all been different. And so I have to stick with it. Got to do one more different one. So this one is my November lento. This is the cone that I had of a merino cotton blend that I got at a factory outlet sale. A massive cone, still got so much of it, no idea what else I'm going to make with it. I might de-stash the rest actually, because it's probably not my best colour. I don't have anything in my wardrobe that is like a neutral beigey colour, so I thought that's a good call. And I had purchased in a cone, I had a cone of mohair, and I had separately, a cone of cotton merino. And separately purchased a cone of mohair, like nylon binder mohair from Yarn Co, which is a New Zealand lovely lady who sells cones that she imports from all over the show. So it was a lace weight that was like exactly the right colour to go with the cone. So I was like, oh, that's fun. So I'll knit a summery lento. So this is it does still have the mohair, but it was a finer weight mohair, so it wasn't super fluffy. I think it was more like 1200 meters to 100 grams rather than 800, so it's like that little bit finer. And then this is a cotton merino blend. I did the more in keeping with the original pattern 3/4 sleeve, because I had done that, but I thought that just keeps it a bit more light for summer. And what increases? I did knit front and backs again, did I? Yep, I did. I like a knit front and back. I like it because you can track it, like you can see those little purl bumps and you can know how far you are. I got to the point by this time that I looked up the cast on number every time just to make sure, and then I literally just did the short rows and then did the increases until I'd done 20 increases, and then like I just knew what to do by this point. I'd memorized the pattern basically. I just always checked the stitch count before I cast on just to make sure. So yeah, 3/4 sleeve, and it's got a little bit of ease, but it is a bit, I think I used a 6 again on this one just because it wasn't quite as thick a yarn combo. Again, quite cropped, but I can wear it with a pair of shorts. It's long enough to wear with shorts or with over a dress, or yeah, with jeans if it's that kind of weather, that in between kind of weather. Definitely feels lighter being cotton blend. And it's a bit more drapey, but it's not really oversized, so you don't get that kind of effect of the drapiness quite so much. Yeah, no, I like it. It's good. I haven't worn it a heap yet because now it's the summer, and it's too hot to wear sweaters. So, but I think it will get quite a lot of use, and I don't hate the colour on me. I'm looking really red right now because I had to shut the blind over here because the light was just too intense, and it's a really hot day to be filming a video about sweaters. But my kids have all gone to their grandma's to swim in the pool, so I'm like, I've got an hour of peace, I'm going to do it now. So yeah, this is my November lento. I don't think I've got anything else to say about that, and my bind off is quite tight on this one, which does keep it with a nice structure at the waistline since it's a bit cropped, but just makes it a bit of a pain to put on. And I think just because I didn't compensate for the fact the cotton doesn't have the stretch that wool has, and so I needed to just be extra loose, and I didn't think about that at the time. But am I redoing it? no, not a chance. I just did really tiny ribs on this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 rows on all the ribs, tiny little ribs. Lucky last, we're nearly there, people. My final December Lento, I knew exactly what I was going to use for this one for months before I knit it. When I entered that first Lento in the Let's Lento Cow, I actually won one of the prizes, and blow me down, that's never happened to me before, hasn't happened to me since. It was just so exciting. And the Crabear, Rebecca Clow, she put up some yarn for a prize that she had personally brought for herself to make a Lento with, but she never found a mohair that she liked to go with it, and she just kind of moved on to other things and never made it. And so she put that in the prizes, and I won it, which was crazy. So I've been saving it up until my last Lento of the year, because I thought, what's better fitting than that? For a while I couldn't find a mohair that went well with it and didn't detract from the beautiful yarn either. So I did toss around the idea of like knitting a toasted tee with it instead of not using it for a Lento. But I just loved the romanticness of using it for my final Lento. So I actually hand dyed myself some mohair. I had a skein, 100 gram skein of undyed mohair, and I just got out a kitchen pot and some white vinegar and some food colouring and dyed it myself. So I'm quite proud of how it turned out. This is my December Lento. So the fingering weight yarn was 100% merino. It was from a hand dyer called Meke Yarns, who is actually a New Zealander but who is based in the UK. And this colourway was called the Duke from her Bridgerton collection. And then the base mohair I think was from Skeinz, but I think I bought it on a D-stash. It was just an undyed 100 gram skein, and like I said, I dyed it myself. And yeah, it's made, overall the colour is a little bit more reddy purple versus the original yarn was kind of a bit more, like it's a little bit more winey, and originally the yarn is maybe a little bit more browny. I am not a brown person, so I'm not mad about it, and I really feel like the integrity of the yarn still shows. Stunning, I love it. I think I did 6mm needles on this one because I didn't want it to be too gappy. I wanted the gauge to be nice. I knit the neckline to be double folded but decided not to fold it and to keep it kind of like mock neck length. Straight sleeve and a longer cuff. To match, cuff rib to match the neck rib. What did I do on the bottom? Just a smaller one on the bottom, not folded over. I did a Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off on this one because I did not want it to be tight like the month before. Yeah, let's pop it on. Which way around does it go? So I love it. It's so beautiful. It's so soft. It's so fluffy. And it's not a colour I would ever choose for myself, which makes it all the more special because I absolutely adore it. Like, it's just, I think it's got to be my favourite. Just because of the story that goes with it. So again, not totally oversized, but I knit it long enough to wear with jeans or dresses. Like, it's definitely more of a hip length, not a total waist crop length. You've got kind of that mock neck look, which is not what I would normally go for either, but I quite like it in this. Yeah, and so that's my December Lento. What else to say? I mean, that's all my Lentos. So happy that I managed to make it through the whole year. You can check out all the photos that I posted along the way on Instagram under the hashtag Year of the Lento. Or you can have a look at my Ravelry project pages. I have project pages, like I mentioned, with notes for all of these, what mods I used throughout. I'm knit size 3, like I mentioned, just with different yarn combos and either 6mm or 6.5mm needles, depending on what I did for the time. Would I do it again? I'll definitely knit more lentos in the future. I have no doubt that if I at some point have a limited amount of yarn, like 2 skeins of something really stunning, and I'm like, what can I want something really significant out of this, I could knit another lento. I need a break, but I think it's going to be one of those patterns that I will keep coming back to because it's just easy. You cast on at the neck, you do some short rows, you do raglan increases until it fits, and then you cast off for the arms, do the body to the length you desire, do the sleeves to the length you desire. It's just so simple. It uses so little yarn. It's really quick. I never beat my record of 6 days. That was the fastest I ever knit one. And I think I took like 28 days for a couple of them that I just like did a little bit of during the month. Yeah. So all in all, the knitting time for each one would have been very similar. It's just how long I spread it out over, really, based on circumstances and ambition. Yeah, so I love it. It was so fun. Thank you to Amy Palco and Rebecca Clow for setting me up on this journey. I was delighted to participate, and until this final sweater, I think my favourites are this one and my original. Like, I think these are my 2 favourites out of them all. I mean, I like all of them. I don't dislike any of them. Like I say, I have worn some of them more than others, but that does kind of depend on the season that I knit them in, and also what outfit I actually have that they can go with. And that's something that can still be worked on. So yeah, that's my lentos. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments if you have any questions, or anything you want to ask about them, feel free. I shall sign off now. I guess there's not much else to say to wrap up. I never really thought about what I would say to wrap up, but yes, I would knit a lento again. No, it will not be right now, and no, I am not doing a knit a sweater, the same sweater every month again anytime soon. Not saying never, but most likely never. This year I'm going to try and knit a pair of socks a month, which is a lot less of a commitment. But just being bound to that, like it must be within this calendar month, took the joy out of it a little bit by the end. Like, to begin with, it was like this fun challenge, and by the end it was a slog, and it's like I just want to knit on other things. Like, I've just got all these other patterns. Like, my queue is so long on Ravelry now because I have had all these sweaters come up over the last year that I haven't been able to get to knit because I've been knitting all these lentos. And I didn't only knit lentos, like I did my stats and I knit 19 sweaters in 2023, 19 for myself, plus 8 for other people, which includes the 2 for my daughters and 2 others for my daughters, 1 for my husband and 1 for my friend, and 2 for my sisters. But these weren't the only sweaters that I knit, and so I mean 10 of them are mine. I still knit 9 other sweaters for myself. So it wasn't like so limiting, but at the same time it did kind of get a bit dry by the end. So be warned, if you ever try and knit the same thing every month for a year, by the end you'll be over it. But I would still knit the pattern again. And I've definitely had my money's worth, haven't I? And I've had a lot of fun. And now I have a whole pile of beautiful sweaters. So I will leave that there for today. Thank you for joining me, and I will hopefully see you again soon with my Everything I Knit in 2023 video, and you can see all the other sweaters that I knit, and I will just briefly run over these lentos. I won't go into all the details like I did today because that would be too much. Okay, take care everybody, happy knitting.